Okay, so now we're going to get into our image gallery project, and I just have my index.html and then I have the images from the assets. Now, just to take a look at this, we have the navigation at the top, we have the underline or the border underneath when we hover over it. We have a clean looking search box here with an SVG. We have the upload button. We have the images with this hover effect as well. All right, so let's start off with just creating this global container and the card container. As you can see, we have a card with rounded borders, and then we'll get started with everything inside. So I'm going to come down here. Let's close the sidebar up, get rid of this H1, and we'll say this is our global container. So same thing we've been doing. Flexbox items are going to be centered. Justify center, and we need a min height of screen, so the whole screen, and then the background is going to be cyan and 50. All right, let's try that out. Okay, so within here we're going to have our card. Let's say card container, and I know some of these projects seem very repetitive, but when we get to the website projects, they're going to be quite different. So for the card container, let's do background white, and we'll do a padding 6 all the way around. For margin, we'll do 3, and then space in between items on the x-axis, we'll do 10. We'll give it a shadow of, let's say, 2XL, and let's make this rounded, and no, we'll do rounded 3XL, and then the on medium screens, I want the padding to be more, so we'll do P40. All right, cool. So yeah, when we hit the medium screens, we get quite a bit more padding. So let's see, what do we want to do next? The menu. Yeah, I guess we'll do the menu. So let's get rid of this, and we'll say menu container. So this is going to be a Flexbox, and this is the first navigation menu we're creating, and Flex makes it really easy to do this. I remember before Flexbox, we would have to use like floats and stuff like that. I would see people even use tables to create a horizontal navigation. So some pretty crazy stuff, but Flexbox obviously makes that really easy. And we will be using the grid actually for the images below. But for the menu, we're going to use Flex. We want it to be a Flex call to begin with. And we'll center, let's say items dash center. Justify is also going to be centered. And then space, let's say space on the Y will be 3. And then on medium screens, we want this to be a row. So we want it to go horizontal. And also on medium screens, we want to take away, let's say space Y, that's going to be 0. And on medium screens, we want space dash X, that's going to be 8. Do space X8. And margin bottom on medium screens, so we'll do MB dash and 24. And also on medium screens, instead of justify center, I'm going to use justify end. Okay, because we want to push it to the end. And yeah, I think that should do it. So let's do that. That's the menu container. Then we have our items. So we'll say menu items. And we're going to wrap each item in a group because we have the text and we have the border, and I want to make it so that if we hover over either one, then we get the hover effect, which is showing the border. So let's do an A tag here. We don't actually need any class on it, and it's not going to go anywhere. And let's say vector, that's going to be the first option. And under that is going to be the div where we create the border. So let's say margin on the X will be 2. Let's say margin top will be 2, and we're going to have it's going to be a duration of 500 because we want that smooth transition. And border dash B dash 2, so that's where we get the border from. Now we don't want this to show automatically, we only want it to show on hover. So I'm going to give it an opacity value of 0 to begin with. So it's going to be invisible. All right. Oh, and we need the border color. So let's say border dash black. And then we want to say on group hover. So group dash hover, that's when we want to change the opacity from 0 to 100. Okay, so let's just save that. And now if I come over here and hover over that, you'll see I see the border. And even if I go like right here, it'll show the border. That's from the group hover. All right, so that's what we want. And then we can just copy this div with the class of group. So this is the first menu item. We'll just copy it. So let's say 2, 3, 4. And the second one is going to be illustrations. Let's see, this one is going to be images, and this one is going to be icons. So let's save that. So they're just going to be, in a flex column on small screens, and then on bigger screens, they're going to be, horizontal navigation. So next thing we want to do is the search container. So that's going to go right under the menu container, which starts right here and that ends right here. So let's say search container, and let me just show you what I mean by that. So this is the search container. It's going to be the input with the SVG and the button, and it's going to be a flex row on medium screens and up, and a flex column on smaller screens. All right, so let's start with that. So we have our flex call to begin with, and let's do justify dash between, because we want the remaining space to be in between the two elements. And let's say space on the y-axis will be 5, and let's make sure on medium screens we display a flex row, and also on medium screens we want that space on the y-axis to be gone, so 0. All right, and then we have our, let's say, input container, or let's say input and I guess SVG container. I know that I put a lot of comments in here. You guys don't have to have this, just if you want to clean it up, but it's just so you know what's what. So we're going to make this flex. We're going to do justify dash between, and let's do a border on the bottom. Okay, and in here we're going to have our input, and the input is going to have a class of, let's do margin left 6, and we want border none. Okay, so it's going to take the border away from the input. And on medium screens, we're going to do a width of 80. And let's style let's say for the placeholder, so placeholder colon, we're going to use font dash thin. Okay, and then on focus, we want to remove the outline. So let's say focus colon, and then outline dash none. And let's see, we have the type, which is text, and then we just want to add the placeholder, which is going to be search. All right, so let's see what that looks like. All right, if I make this bigger, it's going to look like that so far. Now we do have an SVG to put here, and that's going to be in the button. So what we'll do is right under the input, let's add a button, and then I'm just going to grab and paste in the SVG, and you can grab that from the repository. So that's going to be this icon here. Okay, now we're going to go outside of this div, which is the input and SVG container. So we want to go right outside of that, and this is going to be the upload button. So let's say button, we're going to give this a bunch of classes. Let's do P on PY will be 3, and let's do PX will do 14. Let's make this text large. Let's say font dash normal. The text is going to be white, and the background is going to be black. So BG black. Let's also do border and border dash black. And let's make it rounded medium. And we'll do shadow. Shadow, let's do 2XL. And let's make a duration. So for the hover. And then, duration, we'll do 200. And then on the hover, let's do a background of white. And also on the hover, we're going to make the text black. Okay, so that's our button. We'll say upload. Let's save that. Cool. Let's make this bigger.